Currently, we are close to 75,000 participants this year. It's interesting from a city planning standpoint. We literally build a city with city infrastructure, and then which exists for 8 days. But then it's all taken away, and we clean up everything. There's nothing here except our footprints. Then the winter rains come, and that erases our footprints. So after the environment, there are only two things that are left. One is the data, what we have learned from the event. We learned what we did right, we learned what we did wrong. And so the next year, we can change and adjust the city. Also, the other thing that's left are the experiences of the people that come here. And they take that back with them. And that is what makes them return. So Burning Man is very unique in that it's teaching people how to live on the planet. And they learn how to live and work together and create art together.
So our city its needs have changed as it's grown annually. Every year it's different, and every year we analyze it. In the beginning, we just simply needed infrastructure. And as time went on, we realized that we needed more gathering places for people to come in and be together. And that's still happening to this day. Every year we have an opportunity to make small tweaks that really make the city function better. The beautiful thing about our city is because it's for 1 week out of the year, we can make very small changes to accommodate the growing needs of our community annually.
And I feel like Burning Man is this incredible opportunity to explore possibility. And when people have permission and a huge, vast landscape and collaborative partners, all the different things that can be co-created. Burning Man, over 32 years now, had developed creative community and capabilities that I thought could be very useful in the world. And yet Burning Man is a little bit isolated or even misunderstood as a big party in the desert. So one of the most important things to realize is that while Burning Man has so much to share with the world, it is also a learning organization. So one of the things about being here is seeing how dynamically Burning Man is receptive to learning in a reciprocal way from the communities that are intersecting with it.
Burning Man is a culture that is not actually defined by its ideas. The most important unit of meaning in Burning Man is action. Are you going to engage? Are you going to participate? Are you going to build something? Are you going to create something? Are you going to reach out to another human being? These are the most important things. Then it's important that we demonstrate that there are real ideas here, and that if you have questions, we really can address them, and if you have concerns, we really can look at them. But if people are able to get this without that, great, wonderful, they're doing it right. The culture exists on many levels, and the most important one is, are you doing it?
What is the role of art in Burning Man? Well, if you think from the very first burn, they didn't say, hey, let's get together and have a party. It was, Larry and Jerry making something and then bringing it to Baker Beach to burn it and share it with some friends. And continue once they moved out of the desert, it was the same thing. You had people bringing up materials or work that they had made and sharing it with one another. And then, by the way, we're already here and now we're camping together. And so then you begin to have a community of people making art for one another. So I find that art is the central aspect to this city, the central reason why people are coming out. It's not the only reason, obviously. There's 70,000 people, you have probably 70,000 reasons why people are out here. But it has acted as the center and the anchoring. If you look at the city plan, as Rod Garrett laid it out, it's got the man in the middle, and then it's organized in such a way that you can then find all the other pieces of art as well as everyone else once you're here.
That makes sense.
My first year was here in 1998, so for some people that's sort of a distinguishment, that 1997 was the old Burning Man and 1998 is the new. But since 2003, we've seen an increase in the scale of art. Where before it tended to be more around tools and handiwork, it then began to shift into using machines more and heavy machinery to be able to lift heavy items to assemble larger pieces. And that's continued to change the way the type of art that shows up. Has been new techniques. I think I mentioned before, it used to be in those days, one of the biggest differences, that it was very dark here. There just wasn't a lot of light because we didn't have LEDs. And then over time, as they became more available, more prevalent, the city's become very light. Now we have massive programmable, addressable LED shows. So those are some of the biggest changes for me anyways, the lighting and the scale of some portion of the art that's out here.
So this is a different year, a difficult year for all of us. We lost Larry Harvey, of course, he was our founder. And earlier in the year, we had a different kind of plan going, and upon Larry's passing, we had to kind of be agile and move our ideas over and come up with a man base that was going to work for us immediately. We needed to do something that got with the theme, which was iRobot. So the man base is essentially a large gear, a large cogwheel. The idea is it's the center, the moving piece for the whole community. So this is the core. We also call it the mushroom. What it's done, hey David, what it's done is it's given us an opportunity to get the man off the base, and we've got 6 large projectors with very, very wide throw lenses. And all around us is a projection screen. So at night we're doing projection mapping on the inside of the man base. And it's a very short throw. It's only just over 25 feet from the lens to the wall. A year ago we wouldn't have been able to do it. But the technology and the equipment has improved in a year to allow us to be able to do that. I'll show you where the video happens. But secretly, come through. Hey guys, Joe Crosser was saying that a year ago it wouldn't have been even possible to project onto such a short throw.
Yeah. Oh, that there. Not available to the public.
And it's just fucking extraordinary.
And I think the whole challenge of building it here in the middle of a desert, with the sun, the temperature, the wind, and the circumstances and the time scale.
Sure,
it's a feat, especially working with you guys building it.
Thank you.
It's an outstanding privilege.
And you know, this is hard enough crap to do when you're doing it in middle of San Francisco with backup and power, but...
And in the middle of the desert with loads of fantastic people, makes it even better.
The finest Yorkshireman I've ever met.
Oh, thank you.
This is the 40-foot classic map. And Smoke Daddy, who does the neon, has draped him in blue. That was Larry's favourite colour always the favourite colour for the neon was blue. But Smoke Daddy put a little white, which is this symbol of purity and energy. So that's where we're going. We're wishing Larry on his way in a beautiful and speedy way. He'll always be with us. This is a tough year. As man-based designer, I work very, very closely with him. So it's going to be different. It's going to be different. Typically what happens every year is Larry would give me a call, and he was playing around with a few themes, and then I got this call and he said, we're going to be doing this, the theme is going to be iRobot. And I said, why? I get it, you know, it's tech, it's fun, it's maker involved. What prompted you for this? He said, we're getting into a situation where more and more our lives are interacting with machines, and computers and robots are becoming more pervasive in the human world. So what he wanted to do was shine a light on that. And by shining a light on the robot, it illuminates the humans, because we're the warm flesh and blood out here. Burning Man is a place where outsiders and different people are not just accepted, but they're embraced and celebrated. And that's the human element that we're trying to celebrate here at Burning Man by throwing this light on robots.
The theme is iRobot. It's an exploration of artificial intelligence, of automation, and what it means to be human in a time period of increasing automation, in fact, a mania for automation, and when we're actually talking very seriously about the concept of an artificial intelligence, and what does that mean for human beings, both on a practical level and on a theoretical level, on a, if you want to use the term, soulful or spiritual level.
But I think that's what Larry Harvey wanted us to consider. The theme is never about do this thing, but it's intended to spark imagination and ask that question. So what do we mean by artificial intelligence, or what do we mean by a robot or machine? Is it our servant? Is it our master? What do you think?
Yeah.
It is entirely possible to imagine a scenario in which artificial intelligences are trying harder to be good members of the community than some of the people who are coming to Burning Man. I think the relevant question is that robot that would be sitting beside me a good member of our community? Is it struggling with the 10 principles in the way the rest of us are? Is it trying to create something beautiful out here, and is it participating? Those are the questions that I think matter. The fact that there is no single way to exhibit the 10 principles, to try to do them, that you are not only able to interpret them in the way that makes the most sense for you, but you are essentially required to. There aren't guidebooks for that. You have to figure this out for yourself. And it is in that struggle that our community is born, and that I would say people most discover their own humanity. And so we need to welcome that. We need to continue to remember that it's not going to look the same for everyone, and that in many ways this is a source of tremendous inspiration for us.
But I think there's certain things that humans do that machines can't do. Early in our development as a species, humankind, we picked up a rock and hit another rock with it. And we started to make tools. And shortly after that, we started to make art. And that capacity for making art and using tools is a distinctly human endeavor. I think what Burning Man does, it gives a real home to those two instincts. I mean, this is people making giant art with tools. And I think that satisfies this DNA that's within us. So I think your original question about it started as an event without art and art has flooded in, I think that's inevitable. If you build a stage, people will come and act on it. If you create a gallery, people will populate it with art. And this is both a stage and a gallery on a massive scale, the biggest in the world.
I think one of the things that makes the art here different as well, it tends to be less about one person doing the work and more to do about collaborative effort amongst a variety of people who may not consider themselves to be artists.
I think it's about recreating the conditions and the factors that allow for communities to experience not just the objects but the processes. And that's something that's been really interesting to me to begin to talk to artists about. Like, what is it about here that creates this work? Is it the scale of the landscape? The range of the work from very amateur to very sophisticated? The permission to do whatever you want? Many artists making work at the same time, so there's less competition and more cooperation. You're suffering together and you're succeeding together. So I think it will also be really important that we continue to create an environment that encourages people to stretch and to try and to make it happen.
Here's the thing, art is the inexpressible made unforgettable. What you're doing is you're working and things are happening in a random way, And the artist has the ability to see when those random things make beautiful episodes. That random moment that you catch and snatch the joy out of midair and see something for what it is, that is a human capacity.
Galaxia, the idea, the name comes from Isaac Asimov's book, The Foundation series, in which it was one planet where every single thing was connected. So Galaxia was a way to show how the computer can help to understanding a deeper nature in us. And then the theme was iRobot. I thought it was interesting, the contrast between the robotic theme and the very human nature of the temple. Although I used the computer to generate geometry and form, the temple is being built by a human and is for humans. And so submitting Galaxia was all about thinking of that contradiction and the idea that the computer can help going back to natural geometry, liberating them from a very mind-based design process. As architects, they create space for people. And in the case of Galaxia, there's no decoration. It's all structural. We are expressing the very nature of the movement in the project, of the way it behaves, even the text on it, even the connection detail. Everything is expressed. We're not hiding anything from anyone. I feel like with a temple here, we can tell other stories that books cannot tell. The way you enter the space, the way your eyes, your gaze goes up, the way those teardrops come down. The project warps the clock of Burning Man and warps space, warps time. And then you realize that it's gravity and that this is a galaxy, and all these different notions are beyond just a space.
Burning Man as an experiment is all about having to do something and having to struggle with that and having to figure it out for yourself and in community. The real benefit to us is in the struggle, and I think it's no coincidence that Burning Man is an environment that forces you to struggle. That we come here and we are struggling with the environment, we are struggling with how to relate to one another. Radical inclusion is not actually all that easy, but it's in that struggle we find our capacity to build a culture together and actually to be more inclusive. One of the things that I think is most profound and important about Burning Man is that it does not try to ignore these things. There's a lot of emphasis on the positive side of it. But on the other hand, you have the temple, which is the space dedicated for grief and for sorrow and for examination of all the ways in which life has gone wrong. And that's one of the most vital and important structures here. it is not just the nice and positive aspects of your humanity, but the full range of your humanity that you are engaging with here is what makes this a place where that struggle is really possible.
When you are open to the world, open to everything, then things become a bit invaluable because you can't quantify things. You know, the temple, one cannot quantify the temple because we're all volunteers, but beyond that, because everyone wanted to help, therefore you have a team composed of incredible people. Who can quantify that? It's impossible. That's why I love Burning Man, this idea of decommodification, of gift economy. It's beyond money. It's beyond this abstraction, evaluation of something. And that opened up so many possibilities. And I think thanks to Larry's vision, things like this can happen.
The thing about Burning Man is this is a place to try ideas on. This is a place to come and see if you're good at something or to try an idea you've never done before. And with all that experimentation, there is so much learning and there is so much engagement and so much forward thinking, but there's also a lot of mistakes. And I think it's validating for people to see that things are not perfect and that things don't always work. Even if it's the organization and the man himself, 1 year, if the man doesn't work, that's fine. If it happened every year, that would be a problem. But for 1 year, it says it's okay to try ideas and to express yourself and learn. What I believe happens at Burning Man is that people come and they find out more of who they are and they find out more what they value. I know many people who've come here and said to me, I'm going to find true love. I'm going to find the love of my life. And afterwards I say, what did you find? They said, I found out a lot about myself. I've heard that so many times. So here, you're able to express yourself more completely and more freely and thus get more quickly to what's core between us. What do we have to share with each other? And when you know who you are and what you value, you have much more clarity. And with more clarity, there's more opportunity for generosity and for expansive thinking and acceptance of change and new ideas. So I think innately you're set up to allow yourself to be more patient, to be more kind, to be more understanding. And that might not happen your first year, might not happen your second. It often happens your third. There's trends here, but that is a trend that we've seen. For me, Burning Man is not this event here. Burning Man is the exchange you have between people. So where else can it happen? Can it happen in corporations? Can it happen when groups of nonprofits get together and work collectively to make something better? Can it happen in our children's education? So for me, the future of Burning Man is how we touch the rest of the world.
Many people who come here and have a Burning Man experience leave and they say that Burning Man has changed their life. And it's because this environment, this society is so different than what you find out here. This is a gift community, a gift economy. It changes the way that people look at the world. It changes people the way they think about their relationship with everyone. And so they take that from this place into the other world, and they begin to change their communities around them. We're in a world where there's cultural conflict, there are wars and people are killing people, where places where people are not respecting other people's values. So I think it's important that what people are learning here take that into the outside world. It needs to be changed so that we all can survive in the future.
Because of Larry's passing, Burning Man will be different. Although that he always talked about Burning Man being a 100-year project, and I have no doubt that it will continue. Things are well in place. We're going to be just fine. But we're going to miss him. But that's not a bad thing. I think everything has to change, right? People ask me, people say, hey, I guess, which is your favourite man base? And it's always next year. The one I haven't even thought of. That's my favourite. And which is my favourite Burning Man? The one that I haven't even imagined. The one that we'll invent in years to come. And the one that would make Larry proud and honour ourselves. I think that's the one.
I blame it on the movies, this sense of urgency to seek out great adventure will be the death of me. I caught my own reflection on the surface of the sea. Reached his hand out and said, hold on to me, you'll be alright. I feel alright. I feel alright. Got laid off from my day job, the one from 9 to 5. Came in, said pack your things, you're moving on, but I'll be alright. I feel alright. I feel alright. I feel alright. I feel alright. I missed the bus enough to know that he's not coming back. I poked the bear so much eventually it did attack. She broke my heart in two, then walked right out of you. Now she's off with somebody new. A stranger in a strange land. I lost my only friend. Said son, don't ever be afraid, 'cause this is not the end, you'll be alright. I'll feel alright.